Hey everybody, welcome to the Ronline Report. It has been 9 months since I talked to this guy, and that's too long. That's enough time to make a baby from a little protozoa, bacteria to a full-grown human. Please welcome, all the way from Connecticut, Evan Centopani. What's up, Evan?
What's going on, Ron? Thanks for having me.
I wore the shirt just for you. This is a gym I haven't been to in a long time, too long. Your home gym, not the home gym, but Montanari Brothers, the super gym, powerhouse gym in New Haven. No, it's not.
The best.
What is it?
Oh, I was just saying number one.
Oh, okay. I thought they changed it. Maybe it's not a powerhouse anymore. I screwed up. Okay.
No, still powerhouse, still powerhouse.
Yeah, I learned a long time ago never to ask like people about like their girlfriend or whatever, because 9 times out of 10 they're broken up by the time I do the interview, and I look like an a-hole. But dude, my memory is either so bad or you didn't make a big deal out of it. But I forgot you had two kids now.
Yeah, 3 and 9.
3 and 9. I was going to ask. Alana's the oldest, right?
Alana, and then Vanessa's 3.
Okay, I was going to ask, how Alana is she doing college, at home, or is she on campus, but she's only 9. Okay, so I'm not that far.
College yet.
But so 9, she's in what, like third grade, fourth grade?
Third. My aunt just asked me this the other day, and I couldn't remember if she's in third or fourth. But it's one of those.
Okay, is she home all the time, or does she get to go to school?
It's back and forth. It's like every other week they like close the school, they open it. It's stupid. Currently she goes 4 days and she's home 1, which is good because when they were home, dude, it's just no good. I don't know. I understand the need to be cautious and to take precaution, and obviously this is a very real virus, and people have died because of it.
Yeah.
At the same time, you can't ruin things for the kids. I mean, you can't be keeping them home and stuff. It's not right. I mean, not only are they getting screwed out of their education, because the stuff at home, it's bullshit. All right. It's not right. You're not in the proper environment. I'm not a teacher. Most parents are not teachers.
True.
The kids are getting screwed on the educational front. And beyond that, they're missing out on all the social interaction with their friends. And the kids are going to be screwed up. And it's not good. The kids need to be in school. That's how I feel about it.
You know what I was actually just wondering, because my kids are older, they're 21 and almost 27, so it hasn't even really been in my thought process. But you're Erica, you're what do I call her? Wife, partner, girlfriend? I don't know what to call it. God, this modern days are so hard for old people. But she's home, right? She stays home. But what about all the people that have to work? Are they putting their kids in daycare to go to school? I mean, how is this even working for all these people? I don't understand.
I don't understand either how people are doing. I mean, most people are living, I don't want to say paycheck to paycheck, but they depend on their income. So to then either be thrust into a situation where they have to take time off, or now paid for more, child care for their kids, when you're already paying for education, through your taxes, et cetera. It's not right. I mean, I think it's a big screw job, to be honest. It's just people are getting screwed all the way around.
I agree. Well, we could talk about the pandemic and the virus and the conspiracy theories all day, but I want to refresh the viewers because it's been a long time since you've competed. And I guarantee there's some people watching this who are like, they know who you are, but they don't remember how damn good this guy, Evan Centopani, was. It's been almost 5 years since you haven't competed for as long as Kai Green hasn't competed. You realize that?
Wow.
Yeah. Now you know. So let's go back in time, man. Your first pro show was 2009. You won New York Pro in 2009. That was your first, wasn't that your first pro show?
That was the first one, yep.
So you won that. You have 3 pro wins so far. You won that. And we should let people know you beat Dennis James and Marcus Rule in your very first pro show. Not too shabby. Both of them, I know Rule had won that show before. I don't think Dennis had.
Maybe they were good showings for both of them, especially Dennis. I mean, Dennis James. Well, I mean, all around, man, Dennis James is no joke.
Right.
And I thought they both looked really good.
Yeah.
And yeah. I mean, when I look back, I'm still kind of like, wow, yeah, I did that, huh?
You did do that. Then, wait, it gets better, guys. 2011, first pro show of the season. I think they only did this show once. It was the Flex Pro out in Los Angeles. Who did you beat for that? Dexter Jackson. That's right. Evan beat Dexter Jackson. You're one of the. There's not a lot of people that can say that.
Dennis Wolf.
Oh, it was Wolf. Yeah, I didn't want to throw Dennis under the bus, but you beat him too. Then 2013, you won another show, the Tampa Pro. Arnold Classic, man, you've done that. You did that 5 times, the American one. When I say Arnold Classic, guys, I'm only talking about Columbus. Some guys get mad at me like, oh, no, he's won more. This guy won a lot more Arnold titles. I'm like, he won the Arnold South America. There was like 4 guys in the show. No, sorry.
It's not the Classic.
It's not the same. So you've only done, this is only referencing the Ohio shows. 2011, first time you did it, 4th place. Next year, 2012, 3rd place. 2014, 5th place. 2015, 5th place again. 2016, your last year competing, was 8th at that one. And then what'd you do in Australia? 3rd place, I think, a week later?
That year, yeah, I think.
Yeah. So it's been, yeah, like I said, you haven't competed since March of 2016. So we're almost 5 years. So there's two scenarios that could be going on inside Evan Centopani's head. It's either, oh my God, it's been so long, I can't wait to get back, or it's been so long, it's like, maybe I'll go back, maybe I won't. Which one are you at?
I mean, for me, part of me, I definitely want to get on stage again. And then the other part of me is like, I don't feel at my best at the moment. I need to, I don't know, man. It's a difficult thing, right? Because for me, competing wasn't always about winning. I mean, yeah, like you want to do well. You don't want to go and fucking place last.
Right.
But you want to go when you feel like you're gonna look good and you're gonna at least be semi-competitive. And I'm not sure at the moment. I don't know. Yeah. I know I want to be out there again. That much I know.
Right. I mean, you don't need to compete to be relevant, especially these days. There's plenty of people that are YouTube superstars have never even been to a contest, much less competed in one.
Right.
You didn't compete. You didn't have a. I'm not talking about your pro career like it's over, but in case it is, if that's all you ever did, you can look back and say, damn, 3 pro wins. Did very well at the Arnold Classic a few times. I competed against, some of the very best bodybuilders of that time period. But man, you're a dad now. You got 2 kids. You have a contract with, is it Animal or Universal?
Well, same company.
I know it's the same company, but guys, people do correct me if I get that wrong.
And that's, I think we're at 15 years at this point.
Wow.
And that's something I'm really proud of. Because I know in the industry that's not. No. I mean, I'm sure someone out there might correct me for saying this, but I don't know anyone else who has been with a company that long, unless maybe they started the company, it was their own company.
Right.
So that's something I'm really proud of.
Yeah. I think the only one that might challenge your record, and it's the same company, is Vinny Galanti from New Jersey. I think he was with them very early on, and is he still with them? I'm not sure, but I know he was, at one time he made a post that he had been with them the longest out of anybody.
Right. So, I think it was like 10 or so years.
Yeah. But, you've been with one company. That's the only company you've ever been with, right?
Well, for a short period of time, there was another small venture, but that didn't.
Okay.
That was brief. That didn't pan out. And I ended up back pretty quickly with Universal / Animal.
Yeah, because we can both name guys who have been with, you would need 2 hands to count all the companies. Actually, you might need 3 hands for some guys.
Yeah.
But, man. So you did, I watched your video. I don't want to seem, guys, like I know everything about Evan. I cheated. I watched a video he made for Animal that they put out a few days ago. You talked about your knee is feeling much better now. It's the best it's felt since you heard it originally, which is what, like 4 years ago you heard it? It's been a long time now.
Years, man. Dude, that took forever. A client of mine, she's a little bit older, and she just had both her knees replaced at the same time. And, it's tough, the rehab, and she's like, geez, my knees hurt. They're so tight and it's painful and so on and so forth. And she's like, am I always going to feel this way? And like, she's talking about how much it hurts, like walking down a flight of stairs. And I'm like, it took like 2 years to be able to walk down a flight of stairs without thinking about it. And like the pain and shit, like it takes a long time.
Yeah. I have to wonder if you were like a normal sized guy and you weren't putting as much weight on that knee every time you took a step. I wonder if it would have been a faster process of rehab and healing. I'd
I
have to
think
wonder.
so. But then again, like I look at Branch and like look at what he pulled off that year. I mean, he came back within 7 months and won the Arnold.
Yeah.
Granted, like the leg didn't look the same, but I mean, just to be able to do that is mind-boggling. But I think when I got injured, I talked to Branch, and he said it took him also, I think, a couple of years before it really felt normal again.
Yeah.
Dude, it sucks. But yeah, that's feeling better. Um,
Let
I
me just
hate
ask
to
you,
see
when you pose them in the mirror, do you obviously you could probably see difference even if it was like a millimeter difference, but is it noticeable to like, if you're on stage you think you would notice, or is it close enough that you can pull it off without anyone going, oh, his leg still looks jacked up?
no, I think I don't think in ways the injured side almost in like ways looks better,
Hmm.
but then in certain spots it's like it's six in one, half a dozen in the other.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think anyone would actually know which side was injured, to be honest.
Right.
Um, both legs just need to be bigger at this point.
And you're getting older. What are you, 38 now? 38?
Yeah, I'll be 39 in a couple months.
Everybody seems to get older every year, but so I did say I heard you say that you're starting to have some hip pain, which
Dude,
even I have that now, and I was like the king of big blocky hips that could squat all day. Yeah,
this this
when did that start?
this bad though. This was like going back this past year, like over the summer, I felt it felt like groin pain,
Mm,
right? And I was like, huh, what's that? And but it didn't really get in the way of anything. Like if I bent down on that side to try to tie my shoe,
yeah.
like I couldn't reach my laces. It was weird
Mm,
and it hurt.
mm,
It didn't really affect my training.
mm,
Then at the end of summer, like going into the fall, it got so bad. Like 2 months, I was like limping around. I couldn't even walk right.
mm,
The pain in my groin on that side
mm.
was like unbearable. I mean, if I had to do something stupid like take out the garbage, I would dread it because I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
I don't even want to walk.
right.
Um, that's finally behind me. I still have the pain, but it's not if I'm walking normal and stuff. My guess it's probably the labrum. Like I talked to Jose,
Mm,
and he had kind of mimicked a lot of these pains and stuff.
yeah.
But I don't know. I think I could get past it. If you read about it, people are like, no, if you have a torn hip labrum, it needs surgery. But then there's other people who are like, well, I was diagnosed with a torn labrum and I did certain exercises and whatever, and I was fine. So
Yeah.
maybe it is possible that the tear doesn't actually correct itself,
Yeah.
but you're able to live with it just fine if you do the right stuff. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. I mean, you're not in constant, like right now, sitting here, it doesn't hurt, right?
No, but the minute I go to get up, like
Oh,
I,
okay.
I feel it. Like it's ever present. Um,
Yeah. I mean,
but you know what? I've had things before where I'm like, something is wrong. Something is really fucked up. I think I might need surgery. And
mm,
it's nagging for months. And then you wake up one day, and you're like, you go through half the day and you're like, wait a minute,
yeah,
this doesn't hurt anymore. It's
I
fucking
know.
gone. And it
Yeah.
doesn't come back. So, I never discount the fact that the body has ways of dealing with things or straightening things out. And I guess I just keep putting faith in the fact that maybe it'll just go away.
Wouldn't it be awesome if there was like a really cheap, and free would be optimal, a really cheap, like walk-in MRI. Anytime you thought something was jacked up, you're like, I'm going to go get an MRI and see what it is. And,
I
the
don't even
doctor would
know.
review it with you. And
I don't even know if I would want to know, and then put an actual diagnosis and be like, yeah, dude, that shit's torn. And then I'm like, oh great, it's torn. Like, you know what I mean? Like I would almost rather not know and be like, you know what, maybe it's just tight and something's wrong and it'll iron itself out. Because maybe if you don't know, sometimes things do iron themselves out. And maybe if you knew how bad it was, maybe it wouldn't iron itself out.
sure, sure. So we talked in April of last year. Gyms had only been shut down for, I think at that point, like 6 weeks or so.
Yeah.
When did Connecticut gyms open up?
I want to say it was like June or something.
Yeah, so you were a little ahead of us. We were early July, I believe.
Yeah.
So you were building, you already built it, I think. But I think when we were talking, you're always like doing more improvement and stuff to your home gym there. But it looks pretty awesome. You got the old school wood paneling.
Yeah.
I think you said you had a leg press, hack squat, Smith machine, benches. I see the dumbbell racks. You must have
I've
like a
got I've got the dumbbells up to 120. I've got a real sweet rack that I made. Um, Pec fly, rear delt fly,
wow.
glute ham raise, hyper extension, leg curl, hack squat. That's about it. I would really love a leg press. I just don't have the room for it. There's all sorts of shit I would buy, to be honest, but I just don't have the room. So it's probably a good thing. It forces it restrains me. It controls me. It stops me from buying shit.
Right.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah. So, what's it like training at home versus at Powerhouse?
it's funny when I train at home. Like you would think, okay, you'd be more distracted at the gym, right? Because people are coming up and they're talking to you and stuff, and you see people you know.
Right.
I find I actually move more quickly in the gym. At home, I feel like I move a little slower. Like I'm inclined to have longer workouts,
Yeah.
which in ways I don't like.
Hmm.
But it's cool. Like at home you're more comfortable. You have your privacy. If you feel like taking a look at something, you don't you can do whatever you want.
Right.
And it's nice, obviously, at a time where either the gym is closed or maybe the weather's no good or your schedule is screwed up. It allows you freedom, to get things done where you might not otherwise be able to. I like it either way. The gym has its advantages and training at home has its advantages too, for sure.
True. I mean, I didn't have a whole lot of equipment here, but the one thing I missed the equipment the most because I didn't have much at all. But I miss the atmosphere, the camaraderie, just the
Yeah.
atmosphere of other people around lifting. I don't know. To me, lifting at home was certainly better than not lifting at all, but it wasn't the same.
There's more energy in the gym for sure. Um, there's more energy, and obviously the variety of equipment is nice. However, sometimes not having the variety forces you to do more basic stuff, which isn't a terrible thing either.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. Definitely has its advantages. If I had a gun to my head and someone said you have to choose, you can only either train in your basement or train at the gym, I would train at the gym.
Yeah. I mean, you're at one of the best gyms in the country too. Yeah.
I'm lucky. I mean, that gym is the best.
Yeah. I'll get back there one day. One day. But so last year the plan was you had hoped, because we all thought it was going to be a normal year like every other year that we've lived through. You wanted to do New York Pro, which should have happened in May. It would have been in New Jersey. They probably would have had it, I'm guessing. No, they were going to have it in New York at the
Well, I think
Westchester.
Westchester. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
yeah, it was New York.
But so obviously that didn't happen. So I was at New York Pro. You weren't there because it was nowhere near New York. Was it Tampa again? Tampa,
Tampa,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. Tampa, and it was it August, September? It was way
September.
down. It was way down the line. So right now they've set the date. It is May 15th, but again, nowhere near New York. It's in Tampa again.
Right.
So this is probably a no-go for Evan to do New York Pro this year, I'm guessing.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm thinking maybe Boston. I don't know.
Hmm.
Right? Does the Boston Pro show or no?
I didn't see it on the schedule.
Uh,
Yeah, you better check that again.
so I
Um,
don't.
Dude,
Uh,
I'd be the first to jump for joy if a Boston show actually happened. Trust me. But
uh,
it would have been great. It was going to be at the huge new casino, the Encore Casino, right on the waterfront. If everything had gone off the way it's supposed to, that show would have been something else. But let's pray. But how it's not that important for you to compete because you don't your sponsor probably doesn't nag you to compete. People, you're still so relevant. You still do videos, your social media, you're in ads. You don't have to compete to stay relevant. But if you were going to compete this year, is there like a time of year specifically you would like to compete? Because the location probably you have no choice. It's probably going to be Florida no matter when it is.
uh, Probably just looking at it realistically, the time that I would need because I'm only like in the 260s at the moment, which wouldn't be the correct place for me to begin a prep. Um, I would have to bring it up a bit, which I'm in the process of doing. Believe it or not, like at the end of last year, I was all the way down like in the 240s,
Really? Holy crap! Wow.
which for me is small.
Dude, that's you hadn't been that light since when? Like high school?
Yeah, I mean,
Well, you competed. I know your first show you were like 225, 230, but you were a kid. You were like 22.
On stage, though, I was 225
Yeah.
competition weight.
Yeah. So off
So,
season was probably like 250 at least.
oh yeah, I mean, I think I started that prep at like 270. So
Wow. Okay.
yeah, no, it was light. Granted, I'm been fairly lean. Late, just as I've gotten older, I've stayed leaner, just
Hmm.
more naturally. I don't know why,
Yeah.
but
The opposite of every other human being.
um, so yeah, I mean, the weight is on its way back up, but I would need some time. So it would probably be, end of summer, maybe in the fall, to be honest.
So if you got down in the 240s, the food and everything else that goes into being 280, 290 must have been scaled way back, I'm guessing, for quite a while.
The food was only slightly scaled back. Um, yeah, well, no, maybe a little more than slightly. I guess I
Yeah.
wasn't eating a ton. I was eating pretty lean. What happened was I had dieted all freaking year, you
Mm,
know, at the hopes of competing.
right.
So I was in the 260s, like shredded. Um, and then I came off of that and I said, you know what, I think I should take a break because it was a long year. So, I cleaned out and I took like 4 months just on nothing. Not even any TRT, which I don't know why I did. I just said, you know what, I'm going to just try it. And probably got a little smaller than I wanted to. And things probably hurt a little more than they should have.
Yeah, but it was probably gave your joints, everything probably got a really good rest, I would think. Just, from carrying all this mass. You carry it very well, don't get me wrong. You've got a big frame, but I see anybody that's 280, 290, whatever, and I know that's not, the body wasn't meant to hold all that tissue. It's a lot. It's just a
It
lot for the
wears
body.
it wears on you. And the best thing about being at a lighter body weight, even right now, I sleep so good at night. Like I don't, I know once I start hitting 280, 290, I can feel my sleep apnea. Like you're waking up all night, you wake up out of breath, you're waking up in the morning tired. And I don't have that issue at the moment. Like I sleep beautiful, which is nice. Like that that's good for you. And when you have that sleep apnea and it's disrupting your sleep, like that shit's really bad for you.
Yeah.
So it was probably not bad to get a little break from that.
Did you ever invest in the Darth Vader mask?
No, and a lot of people who have them are like, oh, I won't go anywhere without them now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never did it. I probably should.
I don't know. Doesn't it seem? What was my main objection? Because I was getting it pretty bad at one time too, but I can't imagine having a mask on all night when I'm trying to sleep. It would just seem
You,
intrusive. I don't know.
you're talking to a guy who doesn't even want to wear a wristwatch. So no, I sure as hell don't want that fucking thing on my face.
I mean, you're trying to sleep. That's like the word. It's like a gas mask or something, as far as I'm concerned. Man, um, two kids now, man. How has that really changed? It changes everybody. Everybody I know, it's the ones that have stuck around and raised their kids, not the ones who screw off. But everyone who actually sticks around and takes care of their kids, they become a different person. Your life, everything takes on a different perspective. So you've been a dad now for almost 10 years. How would you say you're a different man now than you were 10 years ago?
I mean, 10 years ago, man, it was about bodybuilding. That was all that. I don't want to say that's all that existed, but that was the focus. That was the singular focus. Um, which, if I'm going to be totally honest, probably made me a better bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time my daughter was born, it was like, within a month or two, my dad was diagnosed with cancer, and then that went on for like 5, almost 6 years.
Mm,
So between seeing him go through that, and then you have a kid, you do look at life differently. Well, having a kid, you can't be this
selfish.
self-centered, selfish asshole, or at least as big a one. I
Right,
mean,
right, right.
you could, but it doesn't jive.
Yeah, you wouldn't be a good parent.
You would be a real shit parent.
Right, right.
So what normally, things that would be about you have to be like, look, me or the way I feel or what I want is no longer the most important thing. Like there is someone else that you're responsible for, and unless you're a real asshole, you better consider them before you.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, and it probably softens you a little more than you'd like it to.
Mm. Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. You were always somebody who was very, very attentive to your health. I'm sure you got medical visits all the time, blood work, this and that. You took a lot of, I'm sure you still do take a lot of different vitamins and supplements for promoting your health, antioxidants, all that good stuff. But are you even more so concerned with your own health and longevity now that you have people that you need to be around for a very long time, or you want to be? You want to see grandchildren, I'm assuming, and that's gonna be a while. It's not that ain't gonna happen anytime soon.
Yeah, but between having kids that you want to be there for, you need to be there for, and seeing my father go through what he went through, you're certainly more conscious of your own mortality
Mhm.
and the fact that you're not invincible. Shit goes wrong, and I mean, my dad. To me, there's nobody tougher than my dad. And when you see somebody like him incapacitated, it really makes you pause and go, "Fuck! If it could, if it could take the wind out of his sails, it certainly would take it out of mine."
Sure. Yeah. Victor.
So, yeah, it
Just the place where he had his machine shop. I was like, oh my god, this guy's a tough bastard just for even having a shop in this neighborhood. This neighborhood is horrible.
yeah, it's a pretty shitty spot.
No offense, neighbors of his, but sorry.
Yeah, uh,
But man, so Boston Lloyd is unfortunately going through some real major health issues now.
I saw
I
that.
saw we all kind of saw something coming years ago when he was being so reckless and talking about all the stuff he was doing. But uh, I guess this is kind of a rhetorical question. But were you surprised when you heard about the kidney failure?
Um, I mean, of course, the expected answer was no. I'm not surprised at all. But
Hmm.
yeah, I was still a little bit surprised because, I think the Boston that we knew, well, geez, I guess it's probably almost 10 years ago by now. He was pretty young, when he was advocating and spouting off a lot of the stuff that he was. And, even 5 years, when you're 20 years old, just from most people, who you are, what you think, and how you feel from 20 to 25 is pretty different. And then he had a kid, so yeah, I probably assumed he would probably start to chill out a little bit, or his outlook would change a little. And I think it did. It sounded, at least from what I gathered, one of the things he was using
Yeah,
was just kind of a fucked up thing, which
yeah.
there wasn't a lot of research behind. And unfortunately, as bodybuilders, a lot of the things that we do, there's not really a guidebook because you're
Well,
doing things
mm,
uh, that you're not really meant to do. You're using things in a way they're not meant to be used. And a lot of it is trial and error. A lot of it is guys just going out and trying things and then sharing their experience. So unfortunately, Boston was using something that I'm sure a lot of people, there wasn't a lot of information about.
well,
And
there was.
unfortunately,
I don't know if you how much you listened to any of his videos or anything, but the only research that had been done on that particular was a peptide. I don't even know what the hell it was. It was some weird drug that you inject lipo. I don't know, something you
I think
inject and it eats up the fat in that area. It's like spot reduction drug. What's it called?
adipotide.
Adipotide. The only research was done with mice and monkeys, and they all went into acute kidney failure, all of them. So I would have saw that, but he saw that and said, "Well, they're mice and monkeys. I'm a human being. I'll be okay." But it's
Yeah,
here's the thing, and just comment on this if you would. Steroids, growth hormone, insulin, they're all dangerous, but they've all been around a long time. We know kind of what they do to the human body. So many of these guys now are using these like research chemicals and peptides, and I don't even know how to describe the categories of these things people are using, but there's no precedent in bodybuilders using these at all. They're using things that just came to market that might do something beneficial for you, but they could certainly do something horrible to you. And these guys are just rolling the dice, like, yeah, okay, whatever.
it's it's
Yeah,
very it's very different because say for example something like growth hormone.
yeah,
When you look at the prescribing guidelines for it, the dosages and whatever, whether it's for a child with dwarfism or an AIDS patient,
yeah.
or the other day, just the other day, I read a study, and I think it was burn victims,
Hmm.
and the rate at which it was like point 0.6 IU's per kilogram of body weight. So when I figured it out, I'm like, holy shit, for me, that would be 60 or 70 IU's daily.
Holy shit. Okay.
But look, for AIDS patients, right? The way that the Serum kits are set up,
Yeah.
it's to consume, anywhere from 4 to 6 milligrams a day. So 12 to 18 IUs a day, which is many, many times more. Well, at least for me, more than what I would use, or more than what most bodybuilders would use. So when you know that it's being prescribed at a greater rate than what you would use it, that's probably a good indication that you're probably not going to get hurt doing it.
Right.
And then with the case of something like testosterone, where it's most commonly used to replace testosterone, you say, well, most of the time it's being used at a rate of maybe 200 milligrams every 7 to 10 days. On the higher side, you wouldn't think you would, be like, geez, I'm going to be pretty concerned. Like if I was going to use, 1,000 to 1,500 milligrams of testosterone a week, would I ever get away with that? But with something like testosterone, because it's been around for so damn long, and guys have been, well, technically abusing the hell out of it for so long, from shared experience that it's not uncommon for guys to live in that range and actually, I don't want to say be okay, but you're not going to keel over and die from taking a bunch of testosterone.
Well, that's the thing, is that
contrary to what the media might have you believe.
No, I mean, any steroids, they're not going to do anything right now. You could do a gram of test a week for a few years, and then maybe now you're going to have some clogged arteries. Maybe you're going to have that LVH, left ventricular hypertrophy. It's things that'll creep up on you. But if you're fastidious with blood work and getting like heart, CAT scans of your heart, calcium score tests, you can catch things long before they get to a point where there's no turning back and you're in serious danger. Whereas, Boston supposedly only took that. He says he only took that stuff for 30 days. And that's when he went into kidney failure toward the end of that 30 day. So that's scary to me, that there's something you could take for a bodybuilding purposes. And I don't know why he was doing it. He doesn't compete or anything. Why would you fuck around with something just to see how much fat it can dissolve? I guess he likes the experiments.
I think with someone like Boss, I think he's really curious. I think it really interests him. So I don't knock him for that. And obviously when I saw that he had acute kidney failure, I actually sent a message, and I said, or just not a message, but a comment on one of his things. And I said, geez, I hope you recover quickly and, fully, which is how I feel. I don't want to see the kid get hurt.
Right.
I think he was just, the only thing, when Boston was younger and he would advocate certain things, and it's like, I saw him in person one time and I said, Boston, dude, some of the things you're advocating, they're just not good things to advocate. And you're presenting them as, well, this is what pro bodybuilders do. But as a pro bodybuilder, I'm telling you, that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah.
So, just be careful with what information you're putting out there, because you don't want to present yourself as the bringer of truth, but maybe you don't really know the whole truth,
Yeah.
And when your audience is a lot of younger guys who look up to you, you don't want them to be under this impression that they need to use all this stuff and use it now, and they're not going to get any results unless they do it. And you've got kids that are young, they don't even know the first thing about hard training, they're not on top of their nutrition, and they're probably still growing.
Yeah.
And they're using stuff, and it's like, dude, the whole premise of all of it was like, everyone's been being lied to, like the supplement companies are lying to you.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to pretend like they don't use stuff. And that's not necessarily the case. I mean, a lot of people just don't want to discuss it because there's a legal aspect to it, which that's plausible.
Right.
If you're a guy who is, doing something in bad taste, which I would consider saying, well, I took this protein powder and I gained 30 pounds of muscle. That's in bad taste.
Yeah.
All right. That's lying. That's misleading. It's not a good thing. But even then, the worst thing that does, and I know because I was on the other end of that as a kid, you see this advertising, holy shit, can Celtech really do that for you?
Celtech.
The worst thing that does is it makes you believe that you can achieve this incredible pro caliber physique without drugs, and it inspires you to work really hard and eat really well and all that stuff. And that's not a bad thing, because eventually, you get into the gym, you get around other guys, and you figure it out anyways.
Right.
But when you're under the impression from the get-go, I've got to use all this stuff and I can't make any progress without it, that's a really bad way to start off.
Right. And it's people knock the pros like, oh, they should tell us all their cycles and this, we're entitled, we should know, and they're liars. They should be honest and upfront, and they should do that. But not only is the legal aspect, but then you would feel responsibility. Say you're at the level of an Arnold Classic Olympia, you're not doing a cycle that a 21-year-old beginner should be using. You're at this level and they're at that level. But if they read that this is what the Arnold Classic champ is using, they're going to go, that's my cycle. I'm going to get on. They're going to call up their dealer and like, I'm going to get on that right now.
Unless it's not what they consider to be enough drugs.
Right.
And then they're going to call you a liar.
Right.
So
right.
it's really a losing proposition. Now, most pros, if some kid came up to me in the gym and I felt like, he's not a jerk off, he's a nice kid, we built something of a rapport. And he asked me, he said, hey man, you mind if I ask you about X, Y, and Z? I'd be forthright with him. But we're talking privately, we're talking one-on-one. For anyone who feels that they're entitled to a pro coming on social media or on YouTube and like divulging all this stuff, you must be an asshole if that's your expectation. Because first of all, things go out on the internet and they don't die. They're there forever. What if that guy goes on and he wants to run for Congress? What if he wants to do this or he wants to do that? And then people go and they pull this stuff out. They go, oh, here he is talking about this and that. What? Because you thought he owed you some kind of you're an asshole if that's what you think.
Right.
But if you're not an asshole and you have one of these guys maybe close to you in the gym or whatever, and you play your cards right, I'm sure they'd be happy to try to steer you in the right direction and help you, because the most of the guys are good-natured and they don't want to see some kid go and do the wrong thing.
Right. And, not for nothing, but there's plenty of guys on YouTube now that they're not pros, but they make their whole shtick. That's probably the wrong word, but they do tell you what they're using and here's the effects I got. So it's not like it's not available out there. But another thing is someone like Boston, who was very, very honest, and I give him credit because it's not easy to be honest, because he knows a lot of people hated him and a lot of people still don't like him and they didn't like what he represented, but he didn't present himself. He says, I'm not a role model. I'm just telling people what I do. But you got to understand, 16, 15-year-old kid looks at Boston with his big shoulders and big arms, and he says, well, I'm on 2 grams of tren and this and that. Even if he's not saying you should do that too, they're going to go, well, that's what he uses and he looks like that. I want to look like that. That's what I got to use.
Look, I don't want to tell anybody what their responsibility is, or say, well, you should do this or you shouldn't do that. But the reality is, if you are a public personality, you are going to have people who look to you for information, and they are going to do things that you do. And I mean, anyone else can choose. They can decide for themselves. I wouldn't want somebody getting hurt or, doing something because they saw me do it or whatever it was. I mean, I feel that I have at least that much of I don't know if it's a responsibility. I just wouldn't want to see somebody get hurt.
It is, whether, he says I'm not a role model. And who was that? Dennis Rodman? Was that his famous quote? I'm not a role model. But I think he was, yeah. When you're a champion in any sport, you are a role model. Whether you want to be or not, whether you accept that you are or not, you are a role model. People want to know how you train, how you eat, what drugs you take, what sneakers do you wear when you train, what's your favorite music to listen to. They want to know everything you do, and they want to model their behavior after you because they want what you have. So let's change the subject. Let's get off this freaking drug shit. Big Romney won the Olympia, and I was pretty damn shocked, happy, because he's such a nice guy. I didn't really get to know him too much until actually that weekend. I got to talk to him a little bit, and he's a cool guy, so humble and everything. Were you surprised? Were you happy? What was your reaction? First of all, did you watch the show on the pay-per-view?
No, I did not.
No. How dare you? Oh, shit. Well, it was 3 hours ahead here, man. That shit got over almost 1 a.m.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. We weren't on the West Coast. I keep thinking it was Las Vegas. No, it was the same time zone, so never mind. But it was very late. Friday night went very, very late, and so did Saturday night.
I mean, I guess after I saw the prejudging pictures, my impression was shit, Romney looks like the winner. It looked pretty close between Brandon and Phil.
Yeah.
And I mean, Hottie looked outstanding. My impression, I mean, look, Ramy looked like the winner to me.
Mm.
So there's nothing I could say. I mean, he was big.
Yeah.
He was conditioned. He had a tight waist. What else could you say? There's a lot of people that were like, well, he's not American. He doesn't speak English, so they're not going to give him the title. But there've been so many examples over the years where people have these certain rules, these certain stigmas. Well, now that Jay isn't with Vader anymore, he's not going to win the Olympia.
Right.
All these things. Of course, that's not.
That goes back to Lee Haney in 1991 when he won his last Olympia. He left Vader for Twin Labs, so I was like, oh no, he's screwed now. They're not going to let him win. But we actually, I got a lot of confidence in the judging from that show because, I don't know, that was like my 20-something. I don't know, I've been to many Olympias, and so many times I've seen the reigning champion be off, and he still wins. I won't go in. We all know which ones that happen at. But not only did that happen, Brandon still looked pretty good. If this had been many other years, he would have kept that title. Shanique Grant, she looked pretty good. She didn't keep her title in physique. Kamal looked freaking great. He didn't keep his title either.
I reserve judgment because I wasn't there in person.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times that does tell a different story. But I mean, from what I saw, I'm like, geez, Shanique, and this is sometimes I think happens subconsciously. Maybe she was better the year before.
She was. Oh yeah, I've seen her better, no doubt. But she's such a genetic freak structurally.
Yeah. Do you get penalized? Do you get penalized because you weren't as good as you were the year before, even if you're still good enough to win? Because I mean, me looking at it, okay, that other girl had a pretty dry, grainy appearance, which that took a lot of hard work. So it's nice to see someone rewarded for that. At the same time, again, just from what I saw in photos, which doesn't mean a whole lot because in person, it's a different story. But Shanique still looked like the winner to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was there and Sarah was shredded, but that's like women's physique. Theoretically, they're not supposed to be as dry and hard and grainy and crispy looking.
And it's not like Shanique was remotely out of condition. I mean, she still has freaky, tight, streamlined condition. I mean, so you were there in person, and what did you think? You thought Shanique won?
Sarah Villegas looked incredible. I'm a big structure and shape guy. I still would have given it to Shanique, and it's no knock on Sarah.
Right.
I just like pretty shape proportions, as long as they're not like out of condition or something. I don't think somebody should win if they don't show up in shape. But yeah, she was in shape. So switching gears again, Evan, I want to know, is there anything in the sport that you haven't accomplished? Is there any real reason you need to come back because there's unfinished business? There's some show you need to win, or you need a certain placing at the Olympia, or anything that you feel like your career wouldn't be really complete if you didn't do this or that?
No, it's not that. It's just it kind of kills me knowing that the year that I got injured, I was about to start a prep, and I don't know. It's not the way I wanted to go out. It's not the way you want it to end. But no, to be honest, at any given point in my career, and I could have said this after my first show, I would have been content if I never competed again. Like I was just so happy to have gotten in that shape and looked the way I looked. And, and then when I won the junior nationals, I felt, wow, this is great. And then winning the nationals, getting on the cover of a magazine at any given point, I was always thrilled and felt really, really fortunate to have accomplished what I had accomplished, and said, you know what, if it was over tomorrow, I'd still be really proud of what I did and what I accomplished and feel really fortunate to have done it.
Cool. Last question. You've got another crazy business scheme going on. Not business scheme, but I see you're doing so. You're good because you do things like nobody would expect. Like nobody would expect a pro bodybuilder to be like a gourmet chef, and you basically are. You're pretty damn great. I mean, I've had meals at your home, and oh my God, this guy can cook. The steak was just incredible. But you're making duffel bags, something like that.
Yeah. I actually I've always wanted to sew. You say, well, why would you have a preoccupation with sewing?
Yeah.
Like a lot of bodybuilders, you run into certain trouble finding clothes that fit.
Sure.
And I was like, man, imagine if I knew how to make my own clothes. How awesome would that be? You could make them exact for you.
Right.
And although I'm still not at that stage, I picked up a sewing machine. I guess maybe is it 2 years or a year ago at this point, and I started making lifting straps. Right, cool,
That's right.
easy. And I said, what would be cool? Make a duffel bag. Like, there's no good duffel bags on the market. You could buy a Nike or one of those made out of the fucking nylon or whatever the hell they're made out of.
So you're talking about gym bags now, right? Not like a duffel bag like you're going off to the army.
No, like a gym bag.
Okay.
But something that you could, if I went on a trip, I could, bring it on the plane too.
Okay.
Type of thing. So it doesn't have to be strictly for the gym, but yeah, probably 90% of the time I'd be using it for the gym. Something really classic, something heavy canvas, something that looks, it doesn't have to look high tech, but something classy looking. And I started screwing around and I sewed my first bag and I was like, wow, this came out pretty cool. I actually just about a month ago, I ordered like $500 worth of material, all different fabrics from California. They came in and it's all cut up. It's all ready to sew. I bought 2 new sewing machines and it was the only day I was really going to be able to get it. So I ran down there quick, got them, and I've got these 2 new machines that are ready to go. So I'm so excited. They're still, I haven't set them up. I got sick last week and it kind of just destroyed me. Not Corona. I don't think it was Corona. It was just
everything's Corona. Everything.
I don't think it was Corona. It was a stomach bug. Oh man, I was throwing up all day and then just nonstop having the shits and then the chills and even my head. Oh man, it kicked my ass. But no, I've got these 2 new machines ready to set up. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Because you talked on that other video about reaching out to people to mass produce or to market. This is something you could come out with fairly soon, I'm guessing.
I think so. I mean, I still want to make more prototypes. And when I go to the manufacturer, say, look, here's a dozen bags. This is kind of what I have in mind. What would it cost to produce stuff like this? Or I might just do it myself. You know what I mean? Yeah. And just cut them out and just say, you know what? It'll be a small operation. They're all handmade bags. And, I get them done at the rate I get them done. And, if it's someone who's recognizes what they are and they're willing to pay the premium for them, then great.
Yeah. Because, I mean, that's either way, I think you'd be in a good spot. Because to have something that was actually custom made for you by Evan, yeah, I think that's worth a couple extra bucks for sure.
And, dude, I mean, when I tell you they're heavy duty, I mean, most of them are like 3-ply, they're like 3 layers, usually a really super heavy layer of like number 6, which is 18 ounce canvas, and then like a more decorative outer layer and then a lining. So, I mean, the bags are super heavy and they're stitched together with heavy bonded nylon. And you could probably put a bomb inside them. And,
I was going to say a bunch of rifles and stuff, but let's keep it. I don't want to get into too much gun talk. Cool. Well, that has been quite an update, Evan. It's been, quite a year it's been. But I hope for everybody that, man, this is just, we get past this and we all get that microchip put in that we're supposed to get, so we don't know. That was a bad joke, but I just hope we can get back to normal, man. I just hope. Oh, good Lord, this has been. I'm older than you. I've never lived through anything like this, where the whole world was affected at once. I think the last time the world was this more messed up, was probably like 1945 at the end of World War II. Half of the world was in ruins, and there were millions dead. And they had to rebuild all these cities and everything. I think that was a little worse than what we're going through.
Oh, for sure.
But this still affected every single person on the planet in some way or another, which is nuts. We got like 8 billion people now, something stupid like that. Yeah. So
Yeah. I mean, this stuff's got to come to an end, and people got to, get on with life and get on with business and everything else.
yeah, God, we can't. How long are we supposed to stay inside for God's sake? And the masks. Oh, do you guys have to wear masks at Powerhouse?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I can't think.
Yep.
I actually haven't seen any. I'm on the gram all the time, of course, and I haven't seen one gym a public gym, where people are maskless. So I talked to Akeem Williams the other day, and he loves going up. He drives all the way from Jersey up to where's Oscar? Brooklyn?
Brooklyn. Yep.
Yeah, he goes all that. So it must be a hike, I'm guessing. He does that a couple times a week just because he doesn't have to wear a mask to train at Oscar's gym.
Oh, yeah. Does Oscar train him?
Yeah, yeah, he does. Yeah,
That's worth the ride in itself.
yeah, I've seen the videos. He's a really good trainer. Yeah. Train.
He's a really great trainer.
Were you doing that drive at one time, a couple times a week?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Oh
2009 for New York, I did it 4 times a week.
my God, dude.
And then,
Was that your whole day?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And when Oscar and I got together the second time around, there was a lot of times where he came up to me. He was nice enough to do that. And then, but I was still going down there also. So yeah, I mean, but people don't realize what training is. And I had an idea of training, but it had changed after training with Oscar.
Yeah. I mean, anybody who's seen the videos of Mike Pulcinella did with Kai Green and Oscar training years ago, and there's stuff on was it MHP or whatever the Akeem training. It's a different. I think anybody trains harder with a really good coach slash trainer pushing them than they could ever do on their own. I don't know anybody that can. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. It's been awesome catching up with you. I appreciate you taking the time, Evan. Any websites, anything you want to hype, like your coaching business, anything going on?
No, just I would just encourage people to look to Animal. There's some really cool stuff coming down the line. A huge thank you to them, and
How long? I should ask you about Animal Meal because you developed that product with them, and how long's that been on the market now?
Geez, it's probably been about, I want to say maybe 3 years or so.
Yeah.
Great product, and people who use it have a tendency to continue using it.
Yeah.
Because it's solid.
It's like a real meal, right? Isn't it real food?
Well, it's all whole food based. It's all natural. There's no artificial sweeteners, colors, flavors. And it's balanced. The ratio of carbs, proteins, fats. It's really balanced, and it digests well. There's no dairy. There's no crappy ingredients. It's just a really clean product. And I'm not just saying this because I had a hand in designing it, but I can tell you with confidence, it's the best product of its kind on the market. And what a lot of people don't realize, because you know this better than anybody because you've been in this. You've seen the supplement industry change a lot, right? I mean, going back to the late 90s, early 2000s, when there was really only a handful of prominent companies. Now, between the advent of social media, and this is what a lot of people don't understand, you used to have a certain amount of capital to enter the supplement market because you needed money for advertising. If you were going to take out $5,000+ a page ads in magazines, you had to have some dough behind you.
Yep.
And if you had dough behind you, usually you were running a pretty legitimate operation.
Right.
Right. And you were a certain size. And once you become a certain size, the FDA has its head up your ass. It's inspecting your facility. It's making sure your stuff is tested and the whole bit.
Right.
Now, with the advent of social media, people no longer had to pay to advertise, at least not nearly as much. So you had all these companies popping up utilizing third-party manufacturers to produce their products, which sounds lovely, but the reality is because you're utilizing a third-party manufacturer, you don't know what the hell's in your product or if it's been produced to actual specification. And people don't realize that the advantage of buying supplements from a big company is that chances are whatever is on the label is in the bottle. Like Universal, they have all their own manufacturing. I mean, they've been doing this since '77. They have pretty much a campus, okay, down in New Brunswick, New Jersey, of buildings. They've got all their own manufacturing. They do a lot of testing on their products. And people don't realize this, that anybody could put whatever they want on a label. And people say, wow, look at this formulation. This is great. You know what the odds are of it actually containing that? Pretty small. You know? So people got to keep that in mind. And it's another reason that I'm really happy to be with such a prominent company, because I can advocate their products without hesitation, knowing that whatever it says it has in it, it has it in it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there using whey protein that's supposed to be 25 grams per scoop. It's probably like 5 grams, maybe, if you're lucky.
Yeah, and that 0 grams of sugar per serving is probably,
40 grams. So that's why it's so delicious. Anyway, cool, man. Well, great catching up, Evan. I hope to see you on stage. You're one of those guys who was always. It was great to have you in shows because you added another level of excitement to every show you were in. I want all the best people in every show. I'm greedy like that. So when I see someone who still has, it bugs me that you don't compete. It bugs me that Kai doesn't compete. It's your life. You can do whatever you want. But I'm a fan. I'll always be a fan, and I want the best people competing. Because man, this is. I don't follow football, baseball, basketball. This is all I care about. This is all I follow. So
you don't have a favorite in the Super Bowl tomorrow?
Nope.
I couldn't tell you either. I don't follow it either. Could
care less. I only used to wear. If you ever used to see me wearing like Patriot shirts and stuff, it was just out of like loyalty because everyone around me. It's not like I'm on the wagon, but people got happy around here when the Patriots won, and they got so upset when they didn't win. Like now, like people are like they're following the Tampa Bay just because Tom Brady and Gronk are on the team. They could care less about the actual team. It's just those two guys were so good to New England for so long. People still around here still feel some loyalty toward those players, but I could care less. I don't care. Yeah. Does that make me un-American? I'm sorry.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, thank you, Evan. It's been awesome catching up. Appreciate you taking the time. Everybody, thanks for watching this Ronline report with one of my favorite guys, Evan Centopani. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys.